Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. That is a special encore of what I used to do as my intros when I started my channel, and it was requested by one of my community subs. You know who you are, and that is just for you and for everyone who has been with me since the beginning. So welcome back. Here we are, and just like that, Sex and the City, the original series, episode by episode, season by season, and we are in 1999. Yay! Before the smartphones and cell phones. And I'm going to make this note now because when we get into this episode, we are going to realize how much things have changed when you're out and about. This one is called They Shoot Single People, Don't They? Oh, God. This is what I will also say is the foreshadowing of the ending for Carrie in the reboot of And Just Like That. Now, when we delve into this episode, I will point out what is the foreshadowing moment. Now, was it done purposely? Probably not, because it would require actually going back and checking the episodes, but it was an interesting take because when we look at it at the eyes that we're looking at it now, and where we were in 1999 when we originally saw this, which was me and my girlfriends every Friday night watching this series, and what happened at the last episode of And Just Like That, you'll see. So, without further ado, let's get into this episode. Scary. It opened up a lot of wounds. So, if you're enjoying this content, my name is Lena. Welcome to my channel and my beautiful community who are very long, strong, and loving. And I like to keep it that way. So, stay tuned. Scene opens with a beautiful shot of New York City at night. You know, the fifth lady in this series that was not present in And Just Like That because I totally believe that it was faked for a lot of it. I missed that. So, Carrie is narrating that there's certain events that are so significant that you must celebrate. So in comes that the ladies are at a salsa club dancing, and they're dancing salsa. I personally don't think that's salsa dancing, but that's okay because at least they're having fun, and it's one of my best parts that I love about this series when the girls are together. So I'm glad that they opened with the girls being together initially. So Samantha's dancing and she sees this guy checking her out, and all of a sudden they go to the bar and Samantha is toasting to no men, and Charlotte refuses to accept that as a toast, and because it's bad luck. Samantha turns to her and says, listen, and I'm paraphrasing, listen, roll with it. You cannot go through life like this. Just use men and don't expect them to fill you up unless it's the other one. Charlotte's like, okay. And for Samantha, in her mind, she's telling her, and she says it, be like me. Just do that. This is significant because this episode really traumatizes her in a very significant way, right? So as they're toasting, this guy shows up and taps Samantha, and he's like, would you like a dance? He says, I'm one of the club owners. And she's like, oh, thank you. But no, tonight is just us girls. And he's like, if you want to have a dance, and he gives, I guess, his card, he goes, call me. Okay. She turns back around to the ladies, and Miranda's like, I'm really impressed that you didn't leave us for this guy, which Samantha has never done, by the way. And we know this because we've gone through this with her. She says, what kind of girl do you think I am? So poor Carrie is like, listen, it's late. I got to go. I have a photo shoot with the magazine, The New Yorker, pretty popular back then. And Miranda's like, what photo shoot? All press has to go through me. If she only heeded her words. Oh my God. Charlotte is asking her, no, well, first of all, she states that it's a photo shoot that was set up by Stanford and his new boyfriend, who is the photo production person for the New Yorker, for, women, 20 women who are single and still fabulous. Exclamation point. So we thought. And Charlotte's like, please don't go. We barely ever get a chance to do this. This is a one-time event. Stay, drink some more. If only she knew what she did to her. They start drinking more, and we see Carrie leaving the bar at dawn, and she's in her apartment, and she has decided that instead of falling asleep before she has to go to her photo shoot, that she will try to stay up all night with cigarettes, coffee, and a newspaper on her bed. The next thing you have is that she is now asleep with her face on the newspaper. Thankfully, not the cigarette, because I don't know how she doesn't burn a hole in that house like Seema did, and then just like that. The phone rings. It's Stanford, and he's leaving a message saying, I'm at the photo shoot. You're 40 minutes late. She wakes up with the newspaper still stuck to her face, and she picks up the phone, and she says, oh, my God. He goes, where are you? She goes, I'll be there in 20 minutes. And you can hear Stanford screaming, 20 minutes. She's like, I need 20 minutes. Okay. I hope that she at least, I don't think she even took a shower, because I believe she's in the clothes that she was when she was at the salsa club, when she gets to the photo shoot. This is scary. They don't. Well, Carrie finally made it to the photo shoot for the New Yorker, and she looks like this. And on top of that, she's still smoking a cigarette every single freaking time. She doesn't give up the cigarettes. As she gets there, poor Stanford is like, what the hell? What cat dragged you in? She looks like crap, of course, intentionally. I'm not saying anything other than that, because this is an intentional act. As he introduces her to his new beau, Neville, I want to say, he says, you're like a effing month late. So funny. She makes her way over to the photo shoot, and this woman starts taking pictures of her as is, no makeup, still with a cigarette. And Carrie's like, there's going to be time for makeup, right? And she's like, this is just test shoots. Really? That many? She goes on to keep test shooting her from every angle while she's still smoking a cigarette. And she's like, do you mind if I smoke? The photographer says, I don't care if you shoot up. I'm going to guess at that moment, you should have paid attention to what the hell was going on here. She asks Stanford for a cup of coffee. And do you know what he brings her? A cup of decaf coffee. First of all, that's not coffee. Don't come at me at the comments. It's not coffee. If I want coffee, I want it with all the calf in it. I want it to be overloaded with calf. To me, decaf coffee, it's just not coffee. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. Now, it could be because people like the taste of coffee, but they can't take the caffeine. I get that. But then don't call it coffee. I'm just saying. I'm picky about my coffee, okay? I drink Bustelo and Pilon. Those are my two go-to coffee brands. And I have a little thing, espresso, and if I don't drink that, do you know what I would be like? I would be scary. A little bit. That's how I'm able to record at 4 o'clock in the morning. So the next scene is that we have Charlotte, Carrie, and Miranda power walking in Central Park. I have to tell you, one of my favorite scenes. Not because of this scene. I just love, if I lived near Central Park, I would be doing this every single day. There's no excuse for me not to do it now, but nonetheless, there's just something about Central Park that warms my heart. And I love that. And I love the fact that all these people are walking. So as they're walking and talking, this guy backs up and talks to Miranda and says, hey, Miranda, how you doing? And Miranda is like, oh, hi, Josh. And he's like, how are you? I haven't heard from you in a while. I'm training for the marathon. And she's like, oh, yeah, I knew you did that. He's like 5 years in a row. I'm like, is that still training if you've been doing it for 5 years in a row? I guess so. And he's like, well, okay, you have my number. Give me a call sometime. And she just lightly says, okay. And I'm like, I think it's Carrie that asks, who is that guy? And Miranda states that it's an ophthalmologist that she used to fake orgasms with. Carrie says at that moment, okay, it's time to stop. She pulls out another pack of cigarettes because, power walking and cigarettes go a mano y mano. My God. Miranda is explaining why she stopped talking to this guy because the first time that she was with him, she faked an orgasm. And then the second time, because she faked the first one, she had to fake it again. And instead of wanting to fake it a third time, she has made the decision not to call him again. Got it. Charlotte is like, are you going to leave a guy just for that? And Miranda's like, yeah. And she's like, well, she goes into her soliloquy. Um, you know, it could be worse. You could be with someone and at least he will send you Valentine's Day cards and hold your hands in a scary movie. And I'm like, I have yet to see Charlotte date any of these type of guys. If anything, they have all been nut jobs. So I don't know what fantasy world that she's in. Okay, maybe Harry was romantic, but she's got this romanticized version of men, but she's never dated any one of those guys. As she's going on to explain that, this is a guy, she'd rather be with someone that she can wake up to in the morning and then he pours her a cup of coffee. And Miranda's like, these are my options. Give up orgasms for a cup of coffee? I'm like, well, okay, I can see both points. I mean, it's not like you can't, I don't want to say train a guy to give you the big O. Have you needed to do that and stayed with the person because of a cup of coffee and a Valentine's Day card and holding your hand in a scary movie? Let me know in the comments below. I have not. I'm just saying. Now, the next thing that Miranda says, when she says that she'd rather have the O versus the coffee, Carrie is like, it's a toss-up for me. Still smoking a cigarette. Power walking in Central Park. Next up, we get to see the fruits of her photography session with the New Yorker. And this is where the scary part starts for all of them. They do. And if you're new to this channel and you like what you see, all of it, subscribe. Next scene, we have Carrie at her local newspaper stand as she notes that she needed to stock up on new cigarette supplies after she used them all up after her workout session. She's standing waiting for her pack of Marlboro Lights, and she turns around and she sees her New Yorker magazine cover. Single and fabulous ? As she is with a cigarette in her hand, looking like something that's the animals dragged in. So I have a question. When she was doing the photo shoot and she was told that it was a test picture session, at no point did she actually go through makeup and get herself fixed up and then reshoot the scenes? I didn't understand this at all. Because how did she leave not realizing that she never actually took real pictures? They never really explained that part. Because what happens next is that she's in the diner with the girls, the proper diner, because I believe this is the one that they start to utilize throughout the series, right? Because it's very bright. And she's like, single and fabulous ? I would have never agreed to a photo shoot that would have said single and fabulous ? It was supposed to be ! As she looks like something like she got dragged in from a drain. And everybody at the table is like, oh my God. And Samantha's like, oh, she's scared. She's like, I look like something that got dragged through the drain. And she's totally effed. Samantha's like, honey, yes, you are. Okay. As they start rattling, poor Charlotte is reading through the magazine and asks Miranda, can we sue the magazine? And she's like, what? For misuse of a punctuation? They're all freaked out. And Charlotte starts to read, clubbing, all night clubbing and drinking might be fabulous in your 20s, but then you need to ask yourself, how is this going to sustain you in your 40s? Samantha's like, Charlotte is like, what? And Samantha's like, who's in their 40s? Samantha, you are. You need to get over this 35 thing. Really, truly, you do. You're not 35. Stop it. Stop it. And as they're going through the horror of this scenario, Charlotte starts reading again. Well, these women who are doing this specifically at this age, whatever the age that is, are masking the fact, and I'm paraphrasing, masking the fact that they are lonely and will end up alone. Miranda gets upset and she's like, how is this helping? And what Miranda says is every once in a while, every few years, an article like this comes out to scare women, single women, into marriage. Just like that, the reboot. And if you really think about it, the series. Because in many ways, it did scare a lot of people when they realized how not well off they may be without someone significant in their lives. I don't know if it was done purposely, but I did find it interesting that that was one of the catchphrases. Okay. And she starts to slap Samantha's hand because Samantha's like, F them. Everybody's at the table saying F except for Carrie. And as they start, celebrating the fact that this is BS, Carrie starts to narrate saying that, yeah, my question mark really leaped off the magazine cover to all of them because as they pan into all their faces, they all like, they're trying to be empowered and they're trying to state that this magazine had nothing on them. And Carrie is saying, yeah, as I looked around the table, I realized that all of them, even Samantha, started to really question mark their lifestyle. And now we get into the more scarier parts of this episode. Michael Patrick King really hit hard on this one. If only he was able to keep this momentum in the reboot, but in a much more realistic way, we could have had something. But we don't. Next up. What happens when the question mark suffocates you? Well, wait for it. Stay tuned. The question of the question mark, are you single and fabulous? And how it translated to all of the women. First one, we have Samantha. Well, no, sorry. Miranda, she came out of retirement and she decided to call Josh, the ophthalmologist that she faked her O's with, and she decided to fake it again. Samantha made a decision to go salsa dancing with the club owner. And then we have Charlotte, who doesn't surprise me at all. She is in her apartment with this guy, who is Mr. Fix-It. She calls him up to fix things around her house, and he's telling her that he is going to move to Salt Lake City because the acting job in New York, because he's an out-of-work actor, is not going anywhere. So he's got a deal to be on some Mormon soap opera called, maybe he thinks it's Days of Our Mormon Lives. Is that really a thing? Was that a thing? So Charlotte is thinking about this guy who is her Mr. Fix-It, which, by the way, I'm going to interject here. A man who can fix things, very sexy. I love a man like that. I really do. Let me tell you something. Finding a tradesman who knows what they're doing is a rare breed now, okay? Because it is not easy, whether it's air conditioning, whether it's televisions, whether it's light bulbs, whether it's whatever the hell it is that they're fixing, plumbing, God bless them. It's a skill. It's a skill that everyone should appreciate it, even if it's a woman that's doing it. I mean, I can drill a hole, hang a thing, use Velcro or those things that you put on the pictures against the wall, and I could do that without drilling a hole. I can use liquid plumber to unclog my drain. I'm pretty handy. Yeah. I can change the air filter on my AC. Does that count? I love a man who knows how to fix things. I really do. So She's looking at him as he's talking to her and he's fixing her television. And she's thinking in her head, why not? So as he starts to say, what are you going to do without me? And then he finishes fixing whatever he's fixing for her television. He goes over to her and he says, I'm about to leave now unless there's something else you want me to fix around here. And she pulls him down and starts kissing him because she refuses to give up her Mr. Fix-It. I am going to say that was the worst scene delivery ever. It was so fake. The guy was not ugly. He was easy on the eyes. But I think that whole forced, it was really forced. Now, whether it was done intentionally just because of what happens in the series, in this episode, possibly. But, I was like, that was the most unromantic thing I've ever seen. How does it turn out? Well, now we have Carrie in her bedroom and she's thinking about, the question mark on her infamous now New Yorker magazine. And she's like, well, women fake everything. And the fake O's that Miranda has decided that she's going to come out for a second rendition for Josh, the ophthalmologist. Hell, women fake things all the time. We fake our hair color. We fake fur. And as she's typing, she's writing literally, is it better to fake it or be alone? Question mark. Now we get into my other favorite part is when she takes her tagline and she spreads it around the New Yorkers. We have this one who says that she and her boyfriend are compatible, except for one thing. He likes blonde, white, waspy types. And so she became one for him. Then we have this one who says that he thinks his wife is an idiot and every day with her is like living in idiot world, and that he can't tell her that because he thinks that if he does tell her that she will leave him. We're only getting one side of the story. I think he's an idiot. Then we get this one who is fingering because he's deaf, and the woman says she doesn't speak sign language. I don't know about you. Now, if anybody does know how to speak sign language, let me know. But I'm taking a wild guess. A wild guess. All of this and all of that. He may have been saying, I want to have sex with you. Can you confirm that? I don't think you need to know sign language to know what this is. Next scene. Wait for it. Because now we get to understand how deep this goes. How deep is your love? Your love. I'm sorry. How deep is your fake? Your fake. Oh my God. They don't. Next scene. We have the three ladies, less Charlotte, in Carrie's apartment because Carrie is refusing to leave the house until that magazine cover of the New Yorker is off the stands. And I don't blame her. Okay? So as they're watching television and what's on screen is P shows. I'm not going to say it out loud. Why do you women or people insist to watch this type of film together? I find it very disturbing and odd. It's very weird. I don't watch these with my friends. I barely can get through it with my friends watching this show because they're still here. It's Friday night again. So as Miranda is letting the ladies know as she's watching the show, you see what I'm saying? He climbs on top of her and all of a sudden she has an O. How is any man going to know better if this is what they're watching? That I can agree with. Still don't know why you're watching it with your girlfriends. Let's go with that. She's proclaiming that, well, Carrie asks, you still faking it? And she goes, yes, I am. I don't understand. Men can rebuild jet engines, but they don't understand women. Don't think that I'm a jet engine, but I guess I understand the metaphor. And she's like, yeah, it's like, it's my clitoris. It's not the Sphinx. Okay. I could get somewhat on board with that. Samantha proclaims that if she had a son, that she would teach him all about the vajayjay. And Carrie is like, if you had a son, we would call social services. I would too. That would be weird. Samantha, please don't do that. Please don't be teaching your son anything about down there. If you ever watch this, son, this is why. It's not good. As Miranda is upset because she doesn't understand why he doesn't understand her, why she has to continue faking it, Carrie yells at her, it's because you're faking it. In other words, stop faking it. Because if you don't tell him what's wrong, then he'll never know what's wrong. Mm-hmm. So Samantha decides that she's going to have a date with the club guy and that she's off to meet him for dinner. And anything is possible after that. And she tells Miranda, but from what I can tell from his dancing, I don't think I'm going to have any problems faking it. That's not true. I know plenty of guys who know how to dance that don't know how to do anything else in the JJ area. Sorry. Did I burst your bubble? It's true. So she is with the club owner at the salsa club, and she's proclaiming, oh, this is a great club, as they're turning around in circles. I don't know what kind of dancing that is, but we'll pretend it's dancing, okay? She will not make it on Dancing with the Stars, that's for sure. He says, if you love this club, you'll love the one that I have in the Hamptons. And he's like, do you like the Hamptons? I love the Hamptons. I hate the Hamptons. I hate that place. Now, granted, it's because I don't have money and I don't have a beautiful home in the Hamptons, but it is a hellhole to get there. And when you're there, I don't understand it. I've said this before. What is the big deal with the freaking Hamptons other than the houses that are way too overpriced? Period. And he said, well, I'm renting a summer home in the Hamptons and we can spend time there. As she starts gliding off the screen, now she's in her bedroom with the club owner, and he's professing to her all the wee things that we can do when he's at the Hamptons with her. We can do this, we can do this, we can do this, we. As she decides that she was first only listening to him, now she's laying back down and letting the we take over her. Here we go. The next scene is that she calls Carrie, who is not awake. I don't know what time it is, but she's never awake. Samantha's getting dressed, but she's not awake. How does this woman sustain herself? One should ask. She's telling Carrie that, guess where I'm spending this summer? In the Hamptons with club owner. And she's like, isn't it a little bit too early? And Samantha's like, no, all the best houses are taking it before in January. She goes, no, for you and the club owner. And Samantha's like, no, you should have heard all the wee, parlez-vous français, wee things that he was saying to me. And Carrie's like, oh, so he's a wee guy. And Samantha's like, oh, so what, he's a wee guy. Okay. I'm trying to think, have I ever dated anyone that was a wee guy so early on in the relationship? Because that's what Carrie's telling her. She goes, don't you think it's a little early on to be a wee guy? I don't think I did. That could be why I'm still single. So Samantha's telling her, when we're going to be spending the summer on the Hamptons, and when I say we, I mean us. Mm-hmm. I hate the Hamptons. Next up, we get to see Charlotte and her faux relationship with Mr. Fix-It. Now we're headed towards the acting studio of Miranda and her ophthalmologist, where she has decided that she's going to stop faking it at exactly 10:40 on Saturday, as he is enjoying himself, for lack of a better word. She is literally laying there like a dead woman walking. And as he finishes enjoying himself, he lays back down. He's like, did you have an orgasm? And she's like, no. He goes, oh, did I do something wrong? And she's like, no, because every other time you and I were together, you had one. And she's like, well, and he's like, well, what? Did you not? And she's like, no. He goes, how many times? And she didn't answer. He's like, all of them? He starts to question her, goes, oh, do you have a special problem? Miranda's like, no, I don't. She goes, why? Why do you think it's me? He says, because every other woman that I've been with has never had a problem. And she's like, well, that's funny because, most women fake it. And, yeah. And he starts to freak out and he's like, and she says, and 5 minutes ago, you didn't even know I was faking it. I personally didn't understand that, but okay, we'll go with that. Because the way that she was faking it was pretty scary. As he starts to get up and he starts thinking, she's like, what are you thinking about? He's like, I'm making a list in my head. I could only imagine the list of the women who never called him back. And he's like, okay, give me some tips. Give me some tips of how to get you off. I am nobody's charity. I am a marathon runner. I don't think that running the marathon qualifies you to know how to provide said enjoyment to women, but okay. She's like, he goes, she says, do you know how the woman's anatomy works? And he goes, yes, I'm a doctor. She's like, you're an ophthalmologist. Okay, we'll go with that. And she's like, do you know how the woman's clitoris works? And he goes, yes. Do you know where it is? Yes. Well, it's about 2 inches from where you think it is. Oh my God. Listen, you got to do what you got to do. Okay? You got to school people because we are very complicated people, as she expresses to him. And he's like freaked out because I'm sure the running list in his head will explain why he's only running the marathon and he hasn't had any callbacks from any of the women. And it's true. If you think you know where it is, go somewhere else. Because most women don't even know where it is either. Don't lie. I know you didn't know this until maybe a while into your age. Okay? So if we can't figure it out, how the hell are these guys going to figure it out? And the ones that do figure it out, I'd like to know how you did that. Shouldn't you be writing a book? Help these guys out. Please. Because they need help. Now we get into the Charlotte, Mr. Fix-It. Charlotte's quest to be a wife to anyone that she can find, regardless of their attraction. We are now subjected to Carrie visiting her and Mr. Fix-It while she is watching him fix another hole in her wall. My God, how many holes and how many things that she needs fixed? Okay. The guy is like, I have to go get something from another room or another place or his apartment. And Charlotte's like, okay, honey. And they kiss each other. And as he leaves, Carrie's like, wow, you're really trying to make this work, huh? And Charlotte jumps on the bed and she's like, I didn't want to give him up. I didn't realize who he was until, I really looked at him and I think that he's amazing. And poor Carrie's like, huh? She's like, yes, he's strong, masculine, and he can fix things. And Carrie's like, honey, you cannot fake a relationship just because someone knows how to caulk your tub. Charlotte's like, yes, you can. And she starts looking around. I'm like, my God, Charlotte. My God. Stop it. So Carrie is walking home in the streets of New York, the fifth lady of our beautiful series, and she's narrating to herself, when did being single become the modern day leper version of a leper? My God, Michael Patrick King really had a thing about this. And she's like, what's going to happen next? Are they going to be divided in restaurants, smoking and non-smoking, single and not single? Well, we all know what happened with the smoking and the non-smoking, right? As she stops off at her favorite newsstand to get yet her 2 packs of Marlboro Lights again. She starts to think to herself as she's narrating, maybe it's her. Maybe she's the one who's been faking it, faking about being happy and single. As she looks at the person that's giving her her cigarettes, he's looking down at the magazine, the New Yorker, while she's still on the cover, still. And she starts to think to herself, she says to him, yes, that's me, with an attitude. And then she looks back at him and she says in her narration, there it was, the man who sells me my Marlboro Lights looking at me with pity. I'm not sure if that's what he was doing, but I can understand why she felt that way. The next thing you have, she has decided that she is going to go out. She's not going to let the magazine, her friends, or the Surgeon General tell her that she is not single and fabulous! Exclamation point. That's it. She's out and about. As we see her out and about with Stanford at some sort of club, there's a new drink out called a tartini, and she didn't even know about it. She's been out of commission for a week, and Stanford is like, a tartini is a vodka flavored martini, I want to say. Tartini? Cranberry flavored martini. I don't think I've ever had one of those, and I'm a martini girl. I can't do it anymore because I have diabetes. I'm an apple martini. But I was curious. So as she's, walking towards Stanford's new beau, she tells him, I hate you. And he's like, I hate me too. I am so sorry. I didn't have any idea what were they going to do with that cover. And she goes, don't worry about it. Next week, you'll have a drug landlord on the cover, and I will be old news. And I'm paraphrasing because I can't use the word that he really said. And he goes, you're fabulous. Here we go. She turns around and turns with Stanford, and she says, you're going to have to leave him, right? He says, we can't. We're going to get a summer home in Sagamore. Another we. Stanford's in a we relationship. So Carrie's out. And about tartini and all. Wait for it. Because we get a special guest. But next up, we get to see what the hell happened to Samantha. My poor Samantha, and a very, very touchy-feely busboy. They do. Her wonderful, strong Samantha. We are now in the restaurant where she is going to meet with what I call Wee William, or she calls Wee William, Mr. Wee, and she is waiting for him, and it's been 20 minutes, and he still hasn't shown up. So she decides to call her cell phone, her house phone, because back then, and this is important, we didn't have smartphones. She listens to her messages and he didn't leave a message. As we look around the restaurant and Carrie's narrating, because this is what I noticed, she is narrating that Samantha felt, exposed because she was out alone without her normal out alone dining, which is either a project or something, a book that she uses as her going out alone armor. And I'm just looking around at the restaurant, and what I notice is that no one's on a cell phone. This was back before we were all attached to our phones. You cannot go anywhere now without someone in their cell phone like this. Back then, you actually had to communicate with each other. You had to look at each other. People are speaking at the bar. People are speaking to each other face to face. They're not checking their phones and looking at their, Instagram and all these other social medias. It is definitely a time capsule that people who didn't grow up in that generation, in our generation, wouldn't even understand that if you were out alone, it would be customary to either have a book or something that can keep you distracted. And I found that so fascinating because I would have never noticed that until now when I was looking around in the restaurant. I'm like, oh my God, there's nobody there. Everybody's actually communicating. My God, we have lost so much with smartphones and gained a lot, but we have lost a lot as well. So she's still waiting. The busboy keeps bringing her water, and she has come to the conclusion that he's not going to show up. And she asked the busboy to give her a glass of red wine. Later, maybe a few seconds, when she realizes that Wee William wasn't going to show up, she's sitting there melancholy, as she is, and The guy's like, more water? And she's like, no, no more water. And she goes, I don't know what happened. I don't know why I don't know what's going on. And she spills the glass of red wine and she starts to cry because everybody's staring at her because she's sitting there by herself alone without her armor. And she's looking up at the busboy and says, where's the ladies' room? The next thing you have is that he's waiting for her, the busboy, at the ladies' room, and she comes out and she's like, thank you for everything. I just don't know why I was so fooled by this guy. Every once in a while, you just need to hear the words, we. The guy, the busboy, even if he wasn't a busboy, grabs her and starts to kiss her. Now, what? I, what? Quite daring. As he stops kissing her, he goes, if you take me home, you will not be alone. Carrie narrates that Samantha, as much as she appreciated the Pakistani busboy for all the things that he did for her, he was very generous with the bread, that she has figured out that there is no way in hell that she was going to go home with the Pakistani busboy, that she'd rather be alone. She walks away and then she turns around and gives him a tip. I don't know what to say. I would have slapped him. First of all, what? No. 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 Don't do that. Don't go up to people and start kissing them. It's not normal. I'm sorry, but it's not good. I give him credit. He went for it, but that's not good. The next thing we have is Carrie as at the bar. She's a belligerent tartini, okay? She is drunk and she spills a tartini on somebody she just met, and the guy says, as she's trying to wipe it off, and Stanford is next to her, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And the guy walks away and she goes, well, F you. F you. I'm like, girl, I think it's time for you to go home. It's not cute. Stanford is like exactly the same thing. It is 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. It's time for you to go home. And she's like, no. I want to stay and meet hot boys. Drunk, smoking with a tartini. And he's like, everybody here is gay, gay, gay. And she leans into him. I don't think so. What? And he kisses her and she walks away. As she's trying to this girl has supported the Marlboro Light Company in this episode, in this season, in this series. They must have made a lot of money off of her. As she's trying to smoke a cigarette, she's trying to find a light for her cigarette. She turns around and guess who comes? Oh yeah. Bradley Cooper makes an appearance. Now back then he wasn't known, but now we know who he is. He has a cigarette hanging out of his mouth and he goes, do you need a light? And she narrates, he was exactly what I was waiting for. Single, straight, and a smoker. I'm going to tell you, even if he didn't become popular, Bradley Cooper, what happens and what is said in that scene when we get to the last scene, is so important that alone would have made me remember him completely. Okay? So now the next scenes we're going to go into is when everybody has decided that being single is better than just settling. Oh yeah. We get the montage of, I'm going to not do this. Stay tuned. We come to terms with what the reality is when you settle. We have Miranda, who, after 2 days of coaching her ophthalmologist, he still's not getting it. He is trying very hard to satisfy Miranda as he's asking her, is this okay? Is this okay? How about that? Like the last guy that she was with that just wants, validation. And she comes to the realization as he's trying his best, and she is trying her best not to yell and scream, not that way, that she is not a jet engine. Well, thank God, because that was extreme. But she didn't want to disappoint the ophthalmologist, so she wanted to give him something for all the work that he has been trying, and he's trying. So she came out of retirement one last time for her last performance, and she faked it again. And this guy is so happy, and Miranda is not. So sad. Is he ever going to get it right? We never know. Next scene, we have Carrie with, I'm going to call him Bradley, okay? She's doing something in the club. I think she thinks she's dancing. She's bopping up and down, and she falls on top of a group of guys, and Bradley, and he's like, hey, do you want to go a ride? Do you want to go for a ride in my Porsche? She goes, fabulous. As they're getting into the Porsche, you see him again park up into a newsstand. He goes, listen, I gotta get a pack of smokes. Do you want anything? And she just looks at him, and then she attacks his face. Sucky, sucky, sucky face. I'm like, girl, if I was your husband at that moment, I would be like, what is happening here? I don't know about you, but I sometimes feel, I could be wrong, that SJP used this series to let out a lot of her fantasies. Okay? Because that was a very long-winded kiss. Mm-hmm. As he gets out to order his cigarettes from the newspaper stand, she's looking in the mirror of the car and she's narrating to herself, she doesn't know what she was so worried about. She's still young. She's still fabulous. She'll never end up alone. Mm-hmm. As that statement comes out of her head, Bradley comes back and squeezes the New Yorker magazine against his window. He says, is that you? And Carrie looks at it, and it is single and fabulous, question mark, as she's on the cover with a cigarette looking like something came out of a drain pipe. Okay? And she's narrating that there it is, the question mark. And she realizes at that moment that if she went home with Bradley, that it would validate. It would be the first time that she actually went home with someone to validate her, and that she wasn't going to do that because then it wouldn't be a question mark anymore. Self-awareness, truthfully, that was, I would think the same way, kind of, sort of, maybe. And she's like, I gotta go. And Bradley's like, I am not letting you go. I have to give him credit. He looked drunk. He had red eyes, a little scary. But even with that magazine cover, he still was going to take her home. She goes, fine. And she climbs out of the Porsche and she's walking away. Because she's not going to let this scenario validate her life to sleep with a man just because she wants to make herself feel better. Good for you. The next scene we have is Charlotte and Mr. Fix-It. Charlotte and Mr. Fix-It are into bed, and as Carrie narrates, Charlotte was faking it too. Though she was okay with faking orgasms, she couldn't fake intimacy. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Fix-It was also faking it too. He really just was sick of New York, so he wanted to leave. So he turns around and he says, I think I'm going to leave. And Charlotte's like, oh, really? He goes, yeah. And she says, I'm going to miss you. And he goes, I'm going to miss you too. And they kiss each other, and Carrie narrates that it was the perfect double fake. So she's okay with faking the O, but not intimacy. Got it. Thank God. Because if she would have been engaged, I would have thrown myself out the window. Okay? The next one, we have now Miranda, as everything goes back to normal, as what Carrie says, within a week. Josh, the ophthalmologist, is calling Miranda, and she lets the answering machine pick up because she forgets not to return his call yet again. So she's done. She's in retirement. Got it. Samantha, though we don't see her, Carrie says, has come to terms with Wee William, and she goes to the, I guess, club and throws a drink in his face. Though I would have loved to see Miranda like come in and do it, but I got the gist of it. It would have been a better scene. Just saying. Now we have Carrie. Now that the girls have all decided that being single is better than being in denial. You know, the river in Egypt that I keep telling people that is only in Egypt and it's a river. Now that she's been recycled, her New Yorker, she has decided to take her fear out to lunch. So she's sitting at an outdoor cafe as she's narrating to herself that she needs to take her fear out, that she's not going to let this get her down. And there she was, sitting at the cafe, alone, no friends, no one else around her, no armor, just her. And she was okay with that. And that is the moral of this episode. And that's kudos to Michael Patrick King for this one. When he used to try to give us hope, and he used to write somewhat well. Now, we're going to get into how many other episodes he starts to write before he went into the descent of hell and just like that. But this was actually, like I said, they take you to the extreme. They make you feel like these women are going to go over the edge, over a cliff, and then they hone it back in and they bring the reality of you don't need to do these things. Okay. And that's what I enjoyed about this, So next up, the epilogue. How does this tie into And Just Like That? Well, I think I pretty much covered it throughout the video. We can tell that at one point this series, like I said, has brought in so many different feelings at any one given episode. It takes you into the darker places in our mind, insecurity, then wanting and needing to be weed. Samantha's performance here was, again, quite striking. Because even she can fall prey to people who want to do harm to you in a mental capacity. And every once in a while, she needs to feel loved, which was totally acceptable, though the Pakistani busboy was not cool. Charlotte and her denial about trying to fake orgasms and fake intimacy. Are you surprised? Miranda's 1-time and 2-time, 3-time performances, I can agree where, we need to coach the men that we want to be intimate with, not just random people. And Just Like That, the only thing I can tell you that's tied into And Just Like That are the writer, Michael Patrick King, who fell off a cliff a very long time ago, and who we like to say are some of the original series characters like Charlotte, Miranda, and Carrie, who are completely different in And Just Like That. No hope. But the part that really got me was when Carrie said that she is still young, she's still desirable, and she will never end up alone. And as we know, she, in theory, does in the last scene of the last episode of the reboot. That was the whole message that Michael Patrick King apparently wanted to give to everyone, that it's okay to be alone. I'm not buying it for 5 seconds. And I'll tell you why. Because I've been reading that Carrie's doing interviews that, And Just Like That, maybe just on hiatus. That don't be surprised if it does come back. What does that mean to me? That she's shopping this around because she's not going to give up the ghost. She's just not. Now, whether Michael Patrick King comes back with her, I doubt it, because why would he, right? If she's claiming that this could be just a hiatus and Michael Patrick King was adamant about this being his choice and that last scene was the last episode of this series, maybe she's shopping it around to see if she can muster up some sort of love for it to bring it back. And will we all be watching it? Of course we are. Will I be here reviewing it? Of course I will. But I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little scary to think that if she brings back everybody again, including the writers, that we're just going to get fed a bunch of malarkey again with false narratives, false hope, and touching subjects that were not funny, which could have been, but nobody knew or understood how to write it. I hope to God that she doesn't want to bring the series back in the capacity that it was. And she is in complete denial. She is the queen of denial. Okay. She really is, because she claims when I was reading some of the articles that she didn't care about the hate watching and the haters. And, she was doing it for all the fans that love the show. What fans? What fans? Raise your hand. Show yourself, because you're not on the internet. Because if it was a small percentage, and they were drowned out by all of us who were, like I said, sad watching. hate watching, shock watching. What the heck? And the people who weren't even watching anymore. I'm telling you, my friends back then weren't even watching and just like that. I told you that in my earlier videos. They just gave me a lot of credit for even me doing the reviews. Okay. So will I be surprised if this show and just like that comes back? Well, money is power. She may well figure out a way to do it. I know that Kristen Davis will probably come back. What else does she has to do? Have you heard her podcast? I don't know about Cynthia Nixon. I really don't. It's a coin flip for me. I'm sure she'll try to bring Seema back, and she'll try to bring Fred and Wilma Flintstone back. But I don't know how it would come back, and will we appreciate it? She would have to, like I've said before in my other videos, do a serious self-reflection and stop pretending that she's not listening to all the people who bitched, moaned, and complained about the reboot. If she really wants to make a go out of it. Because if she doesn't and she brings it back in that capacity, then I know for sure, A, she doesn't give a furry rat's behind. B, it's a money grab. It really is. And she's bored out of her mind. She has nothing else on the table. This series also proved to me that she has some serious inlaid fantasies about some of the characters that she ends up canoodling with. So, the fact that Michael Patrick King wrote the last episode of And Just Like That of her being alone, and then this came up, my hairs stood up when I heard her narrate that. I was like, whoa. And listen, it's okay to be alone. If that's what you want, don't let anyone force you otherwise. Tell me how you felt. Do you remember this one? Did it strike you like it struck me? I was going to cry at the end when I heard her reading out in the cafe about her being alone. I was like, it got me. So I'm a little off today because I am a little melancholy myself. I don't know what it is. I am a little sad. I'm tired as well. And I just want to express that to you ladies and gentlemen who are watching, that it's okay not to always be happy and preppy and jumping with love. Does anybody remember that? If you do, let me know. But I came in on camera anyway to record because I know that even when in my lowest points, when I'm not feeling well or not feeling myself, or like I'm sad, I'm melancholy today for some reason, I wish I could explain it. I can't. That someone, many ones out there will enjoy this and appreciate it, because we have to bring joy where we can and bring and give hope where we can. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. I am going to record the next episode in the same shirt because I'm recording 2 times in one day so I can get these out faster. So don't judge me. Don't be like, didn't you just wear that in the last one? Yes, I did, because I'm recording today twice and I'm almost packed. All my clothes are almost packed, so I don't have a lot left out. So you're going to have to worry and see me in my recycling program. So listen, as always, thank you everyone for all the love and support. I see you. I read your comments. I'm glad that I make you laugh and that you look forward to these, not just in the United States, but all around the world. I'm reaching places that I've never even visited. Australia, Sweden, the Netherlands. I've never even been there. So the fact that I can transmit myself all the way out there for you and you are rewatching and responding is fascinating to me. And I love it. So thank you, everyone. I will get better. It's just one of those days that I'm off today and I'm happy to be here for you. So I want to give you all a wonderful, wonderful love, blessings, and joy. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. Mwah.